A communication has arrived for you, and its nature demands attention. Take a moment to gather yourself before moving forward, as what follows carries significant weight. This didn't come through casual channels or light-hearted circumstances. It emerged from quietness, from separation, from remorse that remained unspoken. Its arrival at this moment is not coincidental, because timing holds meaning here. The individual connected to you has been carrying something within themselves for an extended period, longer than they would readily acknowledge, longer than you might have realized. There wasn't a single morning when they woke and decided you no longer mattered. Their feelings didn't vanish suddenly. They didn't truly move forward in the way their actions suggested. What actually occurred was a burial of emotions they lacked the tools to confront. Emotions that get buried don't simply vanish into nothing. They remain dormant, accumulating intensity until eventually they surface forcefully. This communication originates from a state of inner turmoil, not from a place of certainty. The person reaching out is far from tranquil at this time, far from experiencing any sense of peace, instead experiencing restlessness on mental, emotional, and spiritual levels. Something shifted in their reality recently. Perhaps they encountered something that brought memories of you flooding back. Perhaps your name came up in passing during someone else's conversation. Perhaps life's pace finally decreased enough for all the noise to fade away, leaving only truth standing there, impossible to ignore. Whatever the trigger was, it jolted them into awareness. They're becoming conscious of something that fills them with genuine fear. The possibility exists that they might lose you permanently. This realization didn't arrive gently or gradually. It struck during late hours when distractions lost their effectiveness, when scrolling through devices felt meaningless, when laughter shared with others rang hollow, when quietness crept in and posed questions that could no longer be dodged. They noticed something that caused pain. Nobody else carries your qualities, not in how you listened, not in how you understood without demanding explanations, not in how your presence created safety without becoming overwhelming. That's when the sense of urgency took root. Because urgency doesn't stem solely from affection, it emerges from the terror of loss that cannot be undone. If this individual could speak without fear holding them back, without pride interfering, without ego standing guard, here's what they would express. I should have taken action sooner. I operated under the assumption that more time was available. I didn't anticipate you would distance yourself to this degree. I failed to recognize how deeply quietness could wound you. They're finally grasping something painful. Choosing not to act remains a choice nonetheless. This particular choice has cost them their closeness with you. Regret fills them for not showing up during crucial moments, for not offering words when you needed reassurance, for not embracing courage when honesty was required. At that time, staying silent seemed like the safer path. Maintaining distance appeared to offer control. Avoiding confrontation felt like strength. But avoidance always carries consequences. This person struggles with emotional expression, not because feelings are absent, but because feelings run too deep, and they lack understanding of how to process them safely. Opening up meant risking rejection. Showing vulnerability meant surrendering control. Acknowledging the depth of their feelings meant facing aspects of themselves they weren't prepared to examine. A prominent psychologist once stated that, until you bring the unconscious into consciousness, it will direct your existence, and you will label it fate. Your person has lived this reality without awareness. Rather than confronting their emotions head-on, they allowed those emotions to function behind the scenes. They permitted fear to make their decisions. They let pride speak on their behalf. They allowed silence to do their bidding. Now these unconscious choices have evolved into consequences they cannot dismiss. They sense transformation in you. This matters significantly. The person reaching out recognizes you're no longer identical to who you were. Your energy has shifted. Your responses carry differences. Your silence feels weightier than any words ever did. You might still care, but you're no longer chasing after clarity the way you once did. You're not over-explaining yourself anymore, not waiting in emotional uncertainty. This frightens them, because truthfully, they relied on your patience more than they should have, depended on your empathy, counted on your willingness to remain gentle while they stayed guarded. They operated on the assumption you would always remain available, always understanding, always waiting. They didn't imagine you would reach the point of quietly choosing yourself, but you did, and now they feel the impact. What frightens them about potential loss isn't just your presence, it's how you made them feel perceived without judgment. It's the security they experienced but never acknowledged. It's the emotional home they didn't know how to maintain. They're recognizing something that arrives too late for many individuals. Not every connection can be recreated. Not every bond can be replaced. They're asking themselves something that grows louder with each passing day. Did I damage the one connection that truly held importance? This question haunts them during silent moments. It persists when they attempt to move forward, emerges when they compare others to you and immediately feel the contrast. That's where this urgency genuinely originates. Not from manipulation, not from a desire to control, but from the recognition that time no longer favors them. They sense that waiting longer means you won't remain reachable. Not physically, emotionally. They feel a door beginning to close, not with dramatic force, not with a loud farewell, a gentle and silent closing, the most dangerous kind. Because once that door shuts completely, it doesn't reopen with ease. They want to make contact, want to provide explanation, want to apologize properly, not vaguely, not defensively, not with justifications. But fear continues to battle them. Fear whispers warnings like, what if it's too late? Fear suggests, what if they no longer care? Fear asks, what if I expose myself and face rejection? So they hesitate, compose messages, then delete them, rehearse conversations that never materialize. Meanwhile, the urgency intensifies. This communication isn't offering promises, it's presenting a confession. They're not claiming everything is resolved, not pretending sudden clarity has arrived with all the answers. What they're acknowledging, even if silently, is this: I was wrong to take you for granted. I didn't realize your significance until experiencing the loss. I'm afraid I've hurt you beyond what can be mended. If this resonates, write "felt" in the comments. Your person is being shown something they can no longer ignore. A reflection appears before them, not gentle or forgiving, revealing exactly what they chose through their inaction. They're seeing how their silence created distance, how their avoidance caused confusion, how their fear constructed barriers. They're witnessing the cost of their choices, not through your anger, through your quiet withdrawal. That withdrawal speaks volumes that shouting never could. It communicates you're finished waiting, finished hoping, finished holding space for someone who wouldn't claim it. Your person recognizes this shift and it terrifies them because it's irreversible in ways words aren't. Words can be taken back, reframed, explained away, but energy doesn't lie. Your energy has changed, and they feel it viscerally. There's distance now that wasn't present before, not born from anger or resentment, from self-preservation, from finally understanding your worth isn't measured by someone else's readiness. They're watching you choose yourself, and it's beautiful and painful simultaneously. Beautiful because you deserve that choice. Painful because they realize they could have been part of your life differently if they'd been brave enough, if they'd trusted themselves enough, if they'd believed connection was worth the vulnerability. But they didn't make those choices then, and now they're living with what remains. The space between you has grown, and they're uncertain if it can be bridged, not with apologies alone, not with explanations, only through genuine transformation, the kind that requires facing everything they've been avoiding. They're being called to look inward, to examine patterns, to understand why they ran when they wanted to stay, why they closed off when they wanted to open, why they chose safety over authenticity. These aren't easy questions, and the answers require uncomfortable honesty. Your person is being challenged spiritually as much as emotionally. Something within them knows this moment represents a crossroads. One path leads toward genuine change, toward becoming someone capable of healthy connection, toward healing wounds they've carried for years. The other path leads toward repetition, toward recreating the same patterns with different people, toward staying stuck in cycles that never serve them. They're being shown which path they've been walking, and being asked if they want to continue. This isn't punishment, it's opportunity disguised as loss. The universe has a way of removing what we take for granted to show us its value. Your absence is teaching them lessons your presence couldn't. They're learning that connection requires reciprocity, that love demands courage, that relationships need consistent effort, not occasional attention. They're understanding that people don't wait forever, no matter how patient they are. That emotional availability matters as much as physical presence. That actions speak when words remain silent. These lessons are arriving through the painful recognition that they might have lost something irreplaceable. not might. They sense they have. And that knowing is forcing them to confront everything they've avoided. They're questioning their own patterns now, asking why they keep choosing distance when they crave closeness, why they sabotage connections that matter, why they run from the very things that could heal them. These questions don't have simple answers, and they're just beginning to dig beneath the surface. But the fact they're asking means something is shifting. Awareness is the first step toward change, though it's often the most painful one. Seeing ourselves clearly, without defenses or excuses, requires tremendous courage. Your person is being called to that courage now. They're being shown that if they want different outcomes, they must become different themselves. External circumstances won't change until internal landscape does. They can't have authentic connection while hiding behind walls, can't experience intimacy while holding everyone at arm's length, can't build something real while operating from fear. They're beginning to understand this on a level deeper than intellectual knowing, feeling it in their body, in their restlessness, in the way peace eludes them. Something is demanding their attention, and it won't be satisfied with surface-level acknowledgement. It wants transformation. It wants them to face the shadows they've been running from. It wants healing, not just for connection with you, but for their own well-being. Because the truth is, carrying these unprocessed emotions, these unexamined patterns, affects every area of their life. Not just their relationships, their relationship with themselves. Not just how they connect with others, how they exist in their own skin. They're uncomfortable in ways they can't articulate, restless in ways that don't respond to distraction, empty in ways that material things can't fill. Your absence has created space for them to feel all of this. Before, your presence perhaps allowed them to avoid themselves. Your patience gave them permission to stay stuck. Your understanding let them off the hook. Now, without that buffer, they're forced to face what's been there all along. This is difficult work, and part of them wants to run from it just like they ran from you. Wants to find another distraction, another person to project onto, another way to avoid the uncomfortable truth. But something is different this time. The urgency they feel isn't allowing easy escape. It's pressing on them, creating pressure that demands response. Not the response of reaching out before they're ready, the response of genuine internal work. Because contacting you without changing anything would only recreate the same dynamics. Words without transformation are just noise. Promises without action are meaningless. They need to become someone different before they can offer you anything real. And perhaps that's what this entire situation is truly about. Not getting you back, becoming someone capable of genuine partnership. Not fixing what broke, building something new from a foundation of self-awareness and healing. Not returning to what was, creating what could be if they're brave enough to evolve. Your person is standing at this threshold, whether they fully recognize it or not. The message they're carrying for you is essentially this: I see what I lost. I understand what I did. I'm terrified I've damaged this beyond repair. But more than that, I'm finally willing to look at why I made the choices I made. I'm ready to stop running, ready to face what I've been avoiding, ready to do the work even though it's uncomfortable. This isn't a guarantee of reconciliation. It's acknowledgement of where they are. It's admission of truth they've been hiding from. It's the beginning of a journey they need to take regardless of what happens between you. Because staying where they are isn't sustainable anymore. The discomfort has become too loud, the consequences too clear, the cost too high. They're being forced to evolve whether they want to or not. And in that evolution lies potential, not just for connection with you, for their entire future. How they respond to this moment will shape everything that comes after. Will they choose growth or retreat? Will they embrace vulnerability or hide behind familiar defenses? Will they do the hard work or take the easy path? These decisions are theirs alone to make. You can't make them for them. You can't want their healing more than they want it. You can only focus on your own journey, your own growth, your own healing, which you're already doing. That's what they're sensing, and it's part of what's creating this urgency. They see you moving forward, and it's highlighting their own stagnation. They see you choosing yourself, and it's revealing how they've neglected themselves. They see you healing, and it's showing them their own wounds. This contrast is uncomfortable, but necessary. It's providing the motivation they've lacked, the push they needed, the wake-up call that couldn't come from anywhere else. So, in a way, your growth is catalyzing theirs, even from distance. Your strength is challenging them to find their own. Your courage is inviting them to be brave, not for you, for themselves. Because ultimately, that's what this is about. Two individuals on their own journeys, learning their own lessons, doing their own work. Whether those paths intersect again remains to be seen. That's not the primary question right now. The question is whether each person will do what they need to do for their own evolution, whether they'll face their fears, heal their wounds, break their patterns, whether they'll become the version of themselves they're capable of being. Your person is being given that opportunity now. What they do with it is up to them. The message is delivered. The awareness is present. The choice is theirs. And you continue on your path. You keep choosing yourself. Keep healing. Keep growing. Keep honoring your worth. Because regardless of what they do or don't do, you deserve that. You deserve to be chosen, by yourself first, by others who are ready, by connections that don't require you to shrink or wait or accept less than your worth. You deserve reciprocity, consistency, courage, honesty, presence, all the things you've given that weren't returned. You deserve them flowing back to you abundantly, whether from this person, if they do the work, from someone new who's already ready, from the universe in unexpected ways, but first and foremost, from yourself. Because the greatest love story isn't finding someone else, returning home to yourself, recognizing your own value, honoring your own needs, refusing to settle, standing firm in your worth. That's the journey you're on, and it's the most important one. Everything else is secondary. Remember that as you move forward. Remember that you are not responsible for anyone else's awakening, not required to wait while they figure themselves out, not obligated to accept breadcrumbs when you deserve the whole meal. You get to choose what you allow into your life, who you give your energy to, what standards you hold. Those choices belong to you and nobody else. Your person is on their own path now, dealing with their own lessons, facing their own choices. You can wish them well from distance. You can hope they find healing. You can remain open to possibility without putting your life on hold. But primarily you focus on you, on your healing, your growth, your joy, your peace, on building the life you want with or without them, on becoming so full within yourself that external validation becomes optional rather than necessary. That's true power. That's real freedom. That's what you're moving toward, and it's exactly where you need to be. To affirm your strength, type "It's me" in the comments.